welcome back to another video on building a PHP framework. So in this video, we will create a property registry so we can inject properties into our service. So if we open service 2 again, we see our annotation property with the name hello.world. So we want to pass in our name into our property registry and we want to inject it into this variable. So let's start doing this. First things we want to do is start and create a new PHP class called property registry. Oh, something was stuck there apparently. Property registry. Okay, and this can be a read-only class. So this is a class that will handle our name and give back a property. So how will we save properties in this class? It's just a basic array, and everything can be in this array, and we'll call this properties. As you saw as well in service 2, we delimit our name with a dot, so let's as well create a constant for this one. Private const string name separator, which is a dot for us. We'll use this one later. So what do we want to do? We want the constructor. Oh, we want a constructor. So constructor with properties. Okay. And that's it. We want a getter, of course, to get all our properties, which is always nice. And we want a specific one, a public function get property by name. So this class will only have the properties and we'll get it by name, and the property is just a nested array. This class is not loading in something from a config file. That's something else. This class receives an array and uses the name that we want. So we have a string name, and what will this class, this method return? It will return a string or an int or a bool or an array. So what do we need to do? So first of all, we need all our keys. So we explode our name. We use our name separator and name. So we have all the keys. Then we have a variable. We'll call it current value. And we assign it to properties. So properties. Then we want to loop over all our keys. So keys as key. And then we want to check if array key exists. If it doesn't exist, so we'll say key and current value, then we want to throw an exception. So we already have a service scanner exception, a bean creation exception. We'll copy paste the bean creation exception to property not found exception. And the contents can be the same. The important thing is that we extend exception over here. So now we can throw it. Throw new property not found exception. We can say no property found with name, and then we want, of course, know the name as well in our message. Otherwise, we'll say our current value equals current value with the key. So we go in deeper and deeper. So if we have a lot of keys, we go deeper, deeper, and deeper inside the nested array. And when our keys are done, we say return our current value, because that's the value that we have. If we somewhere don't know what value is, it will always throw the property not found exception. And that is already it for this class. We will create another small helper function, public function has property. which of course accepts a name, and it will return a bool. And how are we going to do this? We'll create a try catch. I will say get property by name, and we'll do it like this, and we catch the property not found exception. And if we catch this one, we return false, and otherwise in our try return true. Now we know if it has the property or not, just by catching the exception. And that's it for the property registry class already. Good. Next up, we need to go into our service factory. That's where we want to inject our property. As you can see, we have to do implement the property handling. So let's do it. What do we want? Well, instead of returning a string, we want to have a new method, resolve property. So it's quite clear that what we want to do. So we want to pass our arguments, and the second thing is we want to pass our property registry. So after our bean map, we will need a property registry. Let's call it property registry. We'll restructure the code a bit so it's more readable, like this, and we'll pass our property registry and our service class name so we can have good and clear exception messages. Okay, let's create this method now. So add method. We want it above our resolve bean. So what will this method return? It's a string or an int or a bool or an array. So let's put it like this. And how will this method work? So first of all, we need our property name. And in our argument, we have we need to get the parameter. Sorry, we need to get the property name. So get property name. That's a method we don't have yet. So let's first of all implement this into our constructor argument. So on below, we'll say public function get property name, which is a string or null, and we'll check if our type equals to property. Sorry, not equals to property. So if it's a bean, we just say return null. We don't have a property. Otherwise, we need to say property attributes equals, we get the parameter, we get the attributes of property, of course, and we want the class, and as well an instance of, because if we extend it, we also want to have it. Okay, we need to import the reflection attribute and fix a typo. If our property attributes are empty, we say we also want to return null. Otherwise, we have our array utils. We want the first element of property attributes. We want a new instance of it. And then we want the name. So we want an instance, and then we want the name of this property. Now we can continue. So we now have our property name. We want to have a try catch. What will we catch? We will catch the property exception not found, call it E. And we'll throw, when we don't find it, we'll throw a new bean creation exception. Could not find property. And we'll give it the name. So we'll say property name for injection into, and then we'll pass our class name. We'll give it a default code of 0 and we'll pass in our property not found exception as well to complete our stack trace. In here, what do we need to do? We need to return property registry, get property by name. We'll pass in the property name, done, and our method is complete. Add the PHP doc, and we updated resolve constructor argument. But we added here the property registry. Of course, we need to add it into our create bean as well. So property registry, and we need to add it here as well when we call our resolve constructor arg. Good. We need to update our PHP doc, but we use this create bean. So I'll press Alt F7, find usages, and here we use it. So in here, we will as well need our property registry as well. So we'll say property registry, and it's getting a bit too long. So we'll restructure this a bit so it's more readable. We'll update our PHP doc, so it's here. And now we can pass our property registry. But we need to make our way back up, because our create bean map wants now a property registry. We want it as well when we create our service. So we'll add it there before our bean map this time, property registry. And that's it. We'll add the, well, let's just generate all our PHP doc then for this method, because it can throw an exception. Okay. Of course, when we do our loop, we as well need to add it. So in here, property registry, done. Thank you, IntelliJ, for marking it yellow. And that's it. Now we are ready to use it. So how are we going to use it? Well, it's quite simple. We just need to create it. So now we are doing it all in our index.php, but in the future, when we combine our components of the framework together, it will all happen automatically. But for now, we just need to create them. So under scan services, I will create a property registry equals file registry. Okay, I can type today. Equals new property registry. And we saw earlier that it accepts an array. So let's do that. Let's create an array, and we want hello, and then we separate it. So we'll put in a new array world as the key, and we say hello world. Exclamation mark. Okay, good. So now we have our service creator, and when we create our services, we need to pass in our property registry. Good. Now our code should be done and in service 2. So let's open service 2 again. Our hello world variable should contain hello world with an exclamation mark. Let's make it a bit more interesting. Hello world from property injection. So we know it's really how it should be. So let's run it. Let's open our browser. I'll show you guys. So you see, we don't have any errors. It's still scanned. So let's search for service 2. So here we have our class name service 2. We have our bean, and then we are interested in the object. And there we see hello world hello world from property injection. Now let's check if it also fails if we give in a wrong name. So in service 2, let's make a typo and we accidentally add a second D. Press F5 and we see, yes, we could not find the property hello world for injection into service 2. So it's quite clear that we need to do, oh yeah, okay, I have a typo in here. Let's fix this typo. And we'll do it again, and we can see here that it's working again. So that's how we can handle our property injection. It was a quite easy implementation. The real implementation and usage will be when we use config files, but it's already now, we are already be able to inject the properties into our beans, and we can continue with the next things further on. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, just like it and subscribe if you want to follow along with the next episodes. Thank you. Bye bye.